And a recent survey from an academic publisher, Wiley, gave us this assessment. Students are more frustrated than ever with their higher education experience. When am I ever going to use this being their number one complaint? This State of Higher Education survey covered more than 5,000 students, 2,400 educators, and reports that 55% of undergrads and 38% of grad students say that they're struggling to remain interested in their classes, and they don't believe that they're acquiring the practical skills that they see they're going to need in the real world. And the complaint that higher ed does not prepare students for the real world of work is across all majors, not just French basket weaving and Mayan architecture, but it's in the tech and IT field. Yes, even in STEM. People graduate, and those who are hiring the graduates say that there is a huge gap. There's a skills gap and there's a satisfaction gap. And figuring out those two gaps, that can be the solution to the problem we're all complaining about now. Is this going to be on the test? Hi, I'm James Callahan, and this is The Do-Over Show. And one of the most important components in getting your do-over right is learning how to use your higher education experience, your major, what you studied, what you were good at, what you weren't good at, learning how to make it into something that's useful and make higher education pay you. Make higher education work for you. Now, I gave you my take on it. My take on it is that we experience two gaps: a skills gap between what we're actually taught to do in higher education and what employers expect or ask of us. And the second is a satisfaction gap, and that is what we really feel we need to be happy, to be satisfied, to have a meaningful life that correlates in some way, leverages in some way, the value of a higher education. So let's tackle the most basic question that people ask. Is higher ed, is college, is the degree worth it? And I have to tell you that in most cases, by most measures, today, the way the world is today, the real world, yeah, it's not only worth it, but it's almost always worth it. Most of the time, it means more money, more opportunities, more career choices, more transferability. That is, you can move out of your mom's basement if you want to. It gives us more of almost everything, not just debt. But here's the disconnect. Getting a degree may not give us what we actually need to do the work. That is, the learning process doesn't stop when you move the tassel from one side to the other. It's at that point that you realize now you've got a gap to fill between what you've been taught and what you actually need to know in order to do a job, to earn more, to progress, or to develop and to grow your capacity so that you can actually live a life that you would say, yeah, I'm satisfied. See, getting a degree isn't a guarantee that we get more of everything, but it does show people that we're able to do something that's understood by a lot of people, and that we're able to finish something difficult. Not just do it, but finish it. And finishing things is one of the most important indicators that the workforce is looking for, that an employer is looking for, that people are looking for. Even if you want them to invest in you and your entrepreneurial startup, they need to know that you can actually finish things, not just start them. And it's routine today to look at the basic ROI of degrees. Just the basics. That is, if I get a degree in this area and I pursue a career in it, what's my lifelong earning potential with that degree and that career path? It's common. It's everywhere. Google it. We can know today, even before you start your degree, if you choose this degree and this career path, what's the total, the gross total of your lifelong earning potential. So if you pick a degree that gets you about $1 million in earning potential, but you imagine that you're going to be a billionaire or a trillionaire, that's not realistic. There's a really detailed Georgetown University study that gives us some stunning results when it comes to the ROI of higher ed today. This chart shows the difference in lifetime earnings based on the field of work and the level of degree reached. And it makes it obvious that earnings in the same field are tied to the degree achieved, which translates into promotions and upside that are just not afforded to those without degrees, even working in the same career field. Oh, and none of those numbers and those outcomes are based on the college GPA, which means that we should probably embrace the motto, C's get degrees. Now we can look at the difference between the different education levels achieved and lifelong earning potential. And when you look at high school dropouts all the way to professional degrees like lawyer or MBAs, it's easy enough to get a sense of what is going on. Lifetime earnings of a high school dropout tend to be less than $1 million over their entire earning career. They will make less than $1 million total. But college grads, regardless of major, averages almost 2.3 million. Yeah, that's 2x plus. And a professional degree takes the average up to $3.2 to $3.6 million over a lifetime career. And when the economy goes sour, the unemployment rate of those who hold a college degree is 1/2 on average the unemployment rate of everyone in the workforce. That means that with today's unemployment rate at 3.5%, a 50-year low, the unemployment rate of people who hold a bachelor's degree is under 1.75%. And if, as the Federal Reserve Board wants to raise unemployment in order to slow the economy, raise it to almost 6%, that means that college grads will still have an unemployment rate of just about 3%. That is, no matter how bad things get, those who have degrees keep their job. And if keeping your job, getting paid, staying in your house is meaningful to you compared to going broke, starving, and going into foreclosure and bankruptcy, well then your degree will make the big difference. Now, back to that Wiley academic survey, and here's the key takeaway from that, and that is no matter what degree we pick, there's an exercise that's required in order to leverage that degree for a career, to make it useful for a career. So the advice to correct the problem is pretty straightforward. Make everything connect with today. There has to be this measure of relevancy so that as you're learning within your higher education experience, the question that should be going through your head is not, is this going to be on the test to get through this, but rather, is this going to be useful in what I'm going to be asked to do with my major and in the field I'm expecting to enter? But here's the disconnect. Over 70% of professors in higher education say that what they're teaching in the degree programs that they're participating in prepares students well for the workforce, to live a meaningful life, contributing to the social good, and actually performing skills that are required to be successful in work. But on the other end, only 40% of students in higher education today report that they believe their education and what they're actually learning is adequate. Adequate? That is a horrible evaluative level. That's it. What are you? You're adequate. Ouch! Even in tech fields and engineering fields, only 30% of today's graduating students believe that they have acquired real-world skills. The digital skills, for example, that they need to function in their discipline. Even in STEM and engineering and IT-related fields, yes, put them all together. And the graduating rate is still that less than 40% say that they're ready to do the work that they're being asked to do. And the takeaway is this: stop complaining about it and start demanding more about it when you're in class, when you're studying, and ask more of yourself. Look in the mirror and say, how is this relevant? How am I going to use this? And create those ways of transferable skills. Oh my gosh, transferable skills might be the answer to the problem. And that is, acquire a skill set, even if it seems irrelevant, and create ourselves ways in which that knowledge and that skill set and the capacity that we've built transfers to a real job today. Don't just respond with learn to code, but rather learn to code in order to take advantage of what you've accomplished with your college degree. And be sure to add your comments below about what you're going to demand in higher education, today. And let's keep the conversation going. And thanks for being part of the Do-Over Show. Please, could you tap the like button? Because it really helps. And while you're down there, how about you subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad you found me and I found you. Thanks.